Hello everybody, my name is Courage55, and today we're going to be doing something a little different. So I thought it would be an interesting experience for me to take you through the exact process of how I make an Askosverse short. I thought it would be a pretty fun series, and as you can probably tell from the start of this episode, this isn't going to be scripted, so we're going to see how well this will go. But I'm basically just going to explain how exactly I go about making an Askosverse short, and throughout this series you're going to be seeing me making Askosverse short 5 on the run, and the process of how exactly that's going to be made. So on today's episode, I thought we'd go over the basic planning stages of the project, so, you know, just starting off with the basic synopsis and the plan, and basically the step-by-step of the things that I'll be going through in the other episodes. So you can basically think as this is some kind of podcast, so just sit back, relax, and I'll explain my creative process for you, shall we? So let's get some chill music in the background, and let me explain to you. So, usually in Askosverse short, we start on my phone. That is the first place I start with planning my projects. I go onto my phone, as we can see here. So as we can see, I have all my apps. I have Amogus. Haha, funny. So I start off by going into this app that I use called Google Keeps. And it allows me to take notes of all my projects. As you can see here, I've got some notes for Delwis, some of the shorts, and basically just, there's a load of things here. I just use this for all my projects. And obviously I've got all these ones in archive as well. These are the more random ones. You can see some sketches in there, some old scrap projects, the old respite plans. Yeah, and there's also the script for my channel trailer. I wrote that inside of Google Keeps. As you can see, that's my channel trailer script right there. All the funny jokes that I scripted out. But yeah, I use this app for basically all my plans. So let's make a new plan, shall we? We'll make a new plan for the process of Askosverse short 5. Making a short checklist. So this is the basically checklist of what we want to do whilst I'm creating this short, right? So obviously we start with the basic plot summary. So in that I'll just explain, okay, so in this short, this happens, and then that leads onto this happening, which will end in this happening. So I make sure to give the story a good beginning, middle, and end to make sure it flows correctly, and also, while I'm doing this, I might, list the kind of characters that will be involved. So next on the list we have concept art and references. So what that means is basically I need to draw what the characters will look like, so later on when I'm making the art, I know what exactly they look like at that certain period of time. So after that we make the plot outline, which is basically just the outline of the script, and then we write the script, which we put all the voice lines, and then we hand out the voice lines to the VAs and give them assignments. So I usually give them up to 1 to 2 weeks to complete that. And then I draw the thumbnail. I've already drawn the thumbnail for short 4, but I want to redraw it, and I'm going to show you what exactly I put into the thumbnail while we're here. So after that, a new thing I'm experimenting with is drawing the backgrounds first before I start drawing the art. So I just draw the background I need for each different scene inside the script, and we basically just go from there. And then we put the artwork, and then we do the editing and post-production of it. So I go into After Effects, I add all the text and I sync up all the dialogue and the art, and I put some extra effects in there for, to give it a little more glam. But yeah, and then we release it onto YouTube. We schedule it, and it gets released, and then everybody can watch it. So that's basically the short checklist of the points I go over while making a short. But it does go a little deeper than that, so let's put those in here right now. So we'll start with the basic plot synopsis. So let's see what I'm gonna write here. Oh yes, so basically when you're doing a basic plot synopsis, you want to make a quote-unquote elevator pitch. That is the term they use in the industry for, basically you're just explaining the basic plot as if you were in an elevator having a conversation with some people, and you only have like a minute or so before you reach your destination, right? So you've got to explain it very, very quickly in a condensed format that everybody will understand. So that's basically what an elevator pitch is. Now next up, on the concept art, we have color swatches, design references. So what I do is, if you don't know what a color swatch is, it's basically I make a big list of all the colors that I have to use for, so mainly I do it for characters. So I can just, I can just eyeball it and pick those colors and just copy and paste them into the drawing, so it's a lot easier. And then the design references I have to draw for their age and for their circumstances, because those two main things are what changes the character's design throughout the short. So, for example, in short 2, you can see Laurie Coupe has her regular design, and then later on in the short she has a jacket, but she gets rid of that jacket during a scene, but she puts it on back later. So for the plot outline, we have the basic plan and overview, which I like to write. So I usually use this, I put it in the comments of the actual script. So I basically just put, oh yeah, so this is the basic plan of all the points I'm going to go through in the short. Some of them don't make it. That's, there's a certain length I go for the script. So for the script, there's also color coding and formatting, which I have to deal with. So basically just formatting it all properly, so coloring the different roles, because I think it's a lot easier for VAs to find their lines if their lines are colored. So, talking about the VAs, so I'm gonna be talking about that later, as to how to message a VA and tell them, oh hey, yeah, you have an assignment that I want you to do, and this is how you do it. And also, I have to direct them. I have to tell them, oh yeah, I want this line to sound this certain way, so very rarely I will pull them into a voice call and say, oh yeah, so this is how I want this short to sound, and can you do this? And they'll usually say yes, and we can work together. You know, communication is key. So for the thumbnail, I need to basically sum up the story in one image. I have to make sure that this thumbnail represents the short as it is without giving away too many spoilers. But then I also need to make the viewer interested and make it clickable, because as you know with the YouTube algorithm, you know, you've gotta make your thumbnail click. So, you know, it's alright to use a bit of clickbait, but clickbait isn't bad if you're just being honest, so you've just basically got to make it so if somebody sees your thumbnail on their on their For You page, then they can click on it, because anything, even an impression or review is good enough, because, you know, I mean, it's not all about the views, but, you know, it's nice to attract new people. So for the backgrounds, it's a new process, as I mentioned earlier. I'm gonna see how that goes. I might not use it later on in the series, but, well, you know, it's a test. And obviously, we do the artwork, which is the main event. That's the one that takes the most amount of time. And then we do the editing part, which is the fun part. I really like editing. I miss editing my regional videos. But yeah, and then we release it. And then I'll give my closing thoughts in that episode. So yeah, that is basically the overview of how I make a short, and that's the basic checklist of things I go through. So, since we're here, let's go into Google Docs, shall we? We'll start with that first bullet point. We'll do a basic plot synopsis of short 5 on the run. So this is how I start every single script. I start it with a blank document, and I name it Askosverse short, insert number here, and then the name. Now, if you do not know, On the Run is actually the short that encompasses the character of Harlow. Now, I know that Harlow only appeared for only a few seconds in short 3, but this short is going to be going over her backstory in a deeper detail. So, and we also put a subtitle. So for the subtitle, I just put the basic year and setting of when the short is, so I can keep it up to date with the timeline later on. And yes, we will be going through the timeline at some later date. So this one is set in the Johto region in 2011. But of course, we have to start off every script with the episode begins with. That is how we begin every single script, not even for the Askosverse. For Crystal Desires as well, I also start every script with that. It's easy to start with that phrase, basically. So once we have all the basics written down, we're gonna write the story overview. And I'm going to delete this later, this won't be in the actual script for obvious reasons, but I'll keep this to hand later. So, let's think of a synopsis, shall we? Harlow's a quiet and reserved kid, however her life is turned upside down once her mother mysteriously disappears. Whilst having to balance her friendship and family problems, Harlow runs away from home to discover where her mother went, as well as following in her father's footsteps to find a rare Pokemon known as Suicune. So yeah, that's a pretty good synopsis, I think. I'll be working on that a bit later when we get into the script writing portion of this series. But yeah, that's how I begin the script for every Askosverse short. Next, we are going to start with the concept art. So I'll do a bit of that today. We go to the canvas, I'm gonna make it smaller now, I'm gonna go 1000 by 1000 for the reference sheet. So we're gonna draw Harlow. We're gonna draw her young design, like the design we see in short 3, which I'll show on screen in a minute. So we're gonna draw that. So obviously I start with a circle. Everyone always starts with a circle, so I start with a circle. So we go into a new layer, we create a new color layer, and then we draw in her hair. So half of her hair covers her face like this. Then we draw the ear. As you can see, the proportions are a little off here, so I move it up. And then the rest of the body is drawn as normal. Here I try to draw her bandana alongside the flicks in her hair. Then I draw the other half of her hair. And that's the head completed. And then of course, we go and finish that, which will become this finished product. And that's the concept art done. And I think that will be a good conclusion to the first episode of how I make an Askosverse short. Next time we'll be going more into detail about how exactly I draw the art, we'll be drawing more reference images, and you'll get a bit of look at how I draw things. And maybe there'll be even some live commentary next time. So until then, my name's Courage55, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye!